whoops, I got interrupted, and so I'm going to finish finally the Chapter 9 material with our last slide. Okay, so one more topic that's worth thinking about, and that is the regulation of cellular respiration. So we have a couple of questions on the left. This picture that we see in front of us is essentially, again, this picture of the parts of cellular respiration, right? Glycolysis, the pyruvate oxidation, the citric acid cycle, and oxidative phosphorylation. I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, is cellular respiration anabolic or catabolic? Is it a catabolic or an anabolic pathway? Chapter 8 material. Anabolic means a building up pathway that takes energy, and a catabolic means a breaking down pathway that releases energy. Ding! We've got our answer. Cellular respiration is definitely a breaking down pathway that releases energy so that we can make ATP, right? Okay, so the question is, why does cellular respiration need to be regulated? Let's think about this a minute. Maybe you, like me, had a giant snack. I ate a whole bunch of Cheez-It grooves, and I haven't done much moving today, and so my body's like, I have a lot of extra energy. Right now, I have all this food that you just took in. What should I do with it? Can our cells, or do our cells, take that extra energy and convert it into ATP? Just go through aerobic cellular respiration, and even though we're not using up all our ATP, just keep on doing aerobic cellular respiration to make more and more and more ATP and kind of stockpile up our ATP. Can we do that? No, we can't do that. ATP is unstable. And so if we take all of our extra energy, from the big breakfast we ate or the big supper we ate, and try to convert it into ATP, we're going to waste that energy because ATP will just fall apart and it won't be used. It has to be used right away. It can't be stockpiled in our cells. Now, what do we stockpile? If we have extra energy that's coming in from our food that we don't use up, what do we stockpile it as? We stockpile it as fats and glycogen, right? We don't just keep doing aerobic cellular respiration. Well, how do our cells know when it's time to slow down aerobic cellular respiration and when it's time to speed it up? Is there any regulation of aerobic cellular respiration? Yes. All right? Turns out that our cells use feedback inhibition to regulate aerobic cellular respiration. Remember, in feedback inhibition, molecules that are made at the end of a pathway often feed back to enzymes early in the pathway and either inhibit them or maybe even stimulate them, but typically inhibit them to slow a pathway down. And that's what happens with cellular respiration. Notice that ATP, if we do have a lot of ATP in our cells, ATP feeds back into an enzyme that's a part of glycolysis and inhibits that enzyme, slows it down so that the pathway slows down. Yeah, if we have a lot of extra ATP laying around, we don't want to keep making more. We want to slow the pathway down. Citrate from the citric acid cycle also can inhibit this enzyme. Nice feedback inhibition. Here's something that's kind of interesting, though. AMP, adenosine monophosphate, actually stimulates this enzyme. Now, if we have a lot of AMP around in our cells, chances are we don't have a lot of ATP. ATP gets broken down into ADP, and then ADP gets broken down into AMP. So if we have a lot of AMP around, we probably need to make ATP. We need our cells to do cellular respiration. AMP stimulates that enzyme, gets it started, gets the pathway running, and we make more ATP. I love it. This diagram is demonstrating feedback inhibition. It's really demonstrating regulation of cellular respiration. So nice. That's the end of Chapter 9, believe it or not. That's it, folks.